Back again with the Dolphins career mode. I enjoyed that first episode so much. As I said before, it was supposed to be a one-off video where I just played a game as the Dolphins, but I had so much fun playing and I loved the concept that I thought, let's bring it back. Let's make it a bit of a series here. The Dolphins in the NRL career mode. First season was a bit inconsequential, finished 13th on the ladder, but an absolute barn burner against the Sydney Roosters in the final round of the 2017 NRL season, winning 13-12 in Golden Point. Jeff Robson, he still got it, baby. But now it's time for season number 2, and in this video, season number 3. We're going seasons 2 and 3 in this video, and you'll see why a bit later on. But for now, without any further ado, let's jump into the game and see where the boys are at. Okay, so it's time for season 2018. As you can see, our roster here. What I pretty much want to do at the start of each season is go onto the roster and have a look at how many players we've got over 90 overall, 80 overall, and just go through the side to see how we're progressing. As you can see here, our top player, 95 rated Jesse Bromwich. After that, Jermaine Asako, new signing to the club. Also over 90 is Felice Kafusi, or I believe he might just be in the 80s there. It's a bit hard to see from where I'm recording, but also Ray Thompson, Semi Radraja, Paul Carter, Jeff Robson, over 80 overall, and then David Barner, Anthony Charrington, Patarika Vaivai, Chris Grebsmill, Rory Koss-Jason, Isaac De Gois, Sam Mataora, Josh Starling, Anthony Tupou, Matt Ballin, Mitchell Dodds, Jamal Fogarty, and it's starting to get a bit hard to read them here. Daniel Vito, Jordan Drew, Travis Waddell, Joel Edwards, David Tyrrell, Chris Lewis, Justin Hunt, Joe Bias, Brett Greinke, and Toby Rudolph, amongst others. Sorry for the players I missed out on there. But it was then time to simulate to the 7th of June, which is when the recruiting window opens. In future, I'm definitely going to have to start writing down the player names because it's very hard to read on the screen here as I'm editing and recording in post. So we have a game against the Rabbitohs on the day the recruiting window opens, but let's have a look, see how we're progressing in the season, and see which players we can maybe sign to improve the side. As you can see here, not looking good, finishing 15th after the halfway point of the season. And we're actually 6 points out of contention for the top 8. You can see the Bulldogs there in 8th. It is not looking too good. Recruiting window now. As you can see, a few stars off contract, but we have a little bit of a war chest here. So we'll re-sign Kafusi. And yes, by the way, guys, if you've seen the title, this is the window where we sign our $1 million player. Who is it, though? You're about to find out. Definitely got to keep Semi Radraja. And no, it's not a player that we're re-signing. It is someone on the market. And now it's time to go have a look. We definitely needed a fullback and a 5'8" at this point. An out-and-out 5'8". We had Will Pearsall, who's a halfback playing in the halves at 5'8". I didn't like that. Was Roger Tuivasa-Sheck going to be our $1 million man? As you could see, we had a war chest over $1 million. No, he's re-signed with the New Zealand Warriors. I thought after that, okay, what about maybe Matt Duffy from the St. George Illawarra Dragons? I went down, I had a bit of a look at Dylan Edwards, but I thought, no, I would go in for Duffy as our fullback. He wouldn't sign either. So it looked like we had to go with the man who won an NRL premiership in real life, the reigning premiership winning fullback. It is none other than Dylan Edwards, and as you can see here, he signs on the dotted line. Welcome to the Dolphins, Dylan Edwards. Now it's time to look for a 5'8", but you notice Edwards didn't sign on for $1 million. This is where we find our $1 million man. Would it be Todd Carney, who's returned to the NRL with the Warriors? Possibly Cody Nikorima. In the game, he's young, got a good overall. He could definitely be an option and a long-term option, especially signing someone from our rivals, the Brisbane Broncos. Would it be him? No, it would not. He would re-sign with the Broncos. So who are we going to go with as our $1 million man? Is it Benji Marshall? I had a quick look at Benji Marshall. I thought, do I sign him just for a year as a stopgap? But I thought it might be too risky. Too risky because he might retire at the end of that season and he wouldn't play at all. So I've gone with the man, Luke Keary, 3-time premiership winner. As you can see, $1 million for 3 years, a $3 million contract. Luke Keary is joining the Dolphins in season 2019. We also had to re-sign Chris Grebsmill there, a great squad rotation player. But then I soon realised we were out of money. We were out of the war chest. So it was going to be hard to re-sign anyone else. I tried with Kosh Jason and with De Gois, but we had Ray Thompson there as our starter regardless. Jamal Fogarty, I thought about it, but we just didn't have the money either. Look, I had a crack. No, it just wasn't going to work out. Looked at Kosh Jason again, so I thought, all right, I'll just re-sign Toby Rudolph. Good bit of depth. But other than that, unfortunately, Kosh Jason, Fogarty and Vidot, all NRL experienced players, were going to have to leave the club. What I then did off camera was go game by game and simulate and put my team together consistently each week. It didn't do much, those you're about to see, as we are currently last on the ladder heading into round 26 against the Roosters, 2 points off of the Rabbitohs. But if you look at the for and against, we have a much better for and against. So as long as they lost their game and we beat the Roosters, we would avoid the wooden spoon. We're checking now to see who South Sydney have got, and as you can see, they've got the 9th placed, I believe, St. George Illawarra Dragons. As long as the Rabbitohs lost to the Dragons and we beat the Roosters, we would avoid the dreaded wooden spoon. Would we in actual fact? Let's find out. Wow, another barn burner with the Roosters. Such a shame to see Daniel Vito getting injured, though, in his last game for the club. Wasn't enough to keep us off the bottom of the ladder, though. As you can see, it was not. South Sydney winning their last game against the Dragons. Heartbreaking stuff. Let's see if we could do better next season. So we're coming off of a wooden spoon year, but that's behind us. It is now time for the 2019 NRL season. Let's take a look at the roster. Players over 90 overall. We've got Jesse Bromwich still up there at 95. New signing Luke Keary, $1 Million Man, and Jermaine Asako. In the 80s, we've got Felice Kafusi, Ray Thompson, Paul Carter, Sammy Radradra, Padarika Vaivai, David Barner, Dylan Edwards, Anthony Charrington, and Will Pearsall. And as you can see, we've got the rest of the side here. We really wanted to improve on last season, of course, winning the dreaded wooden spoon. Could we do better, though? Could we actually progress with the signing we'd made, the $1 million man, Luke Keary, the re-signings we'd made? We've been building nicely. I feel like we can do better as we head to the 6th of June, which is when the recruiting period opens up for us. And let's see if we can finally do it. Let's see how we're going also at this point in the season. Hopefully we're not last again or 15th like last time and then ended up finishing last. Let's hope we're in a good position on the ladder and then we can sort of recruit accordingly to see if we really need a big rebuild for next season or not. And we're 5th. It's good. We're 5th after 13 games. That's good. That's sort of where we want to be. Anthony Tupou, unfortunately, out injured at the moment, but it's time that we go and start recruiting some players. But I'm happy with that, 5th on the ladder. As you can see, we've got some star players off contract. Ray Thompson, someone we desperately need to keep. He shot up in overall too, but also because we lost Cross Jason and DeGoyce last season, we definitely need our main man at hooker. He's re-signed. Also, Anthony Charrington, our starting second rower, he's becoming a bit of a star player for us too. He re-signs. Also, Patarika Vaivai, big future ahead of this guy, I believe. So we're re-signing him. Doesn't accept the first offer. Got to just bump it up a little bit, make it a little bit more juicier for Vaivai. And there we go. Unfortunately, now with Sam Mataora, we just didn't have the funds. As you can see, I released him straight away. And it was unfortunately time to say goodbye to the rest of the players. I just decided let's release them outright. And then, well, it was time to simulate to the end of the regular season. The final round of the year up against the West Tigers. Would we still be sitting pretty, maybe in 5th, maybe moving up into the top 4? That'd be nice. Would we drop off completely? Let's see where we end up at the end of the 2019 regular season and see if this game against the Tigers is one that we're going to need to play. And if you look at that, yes, it is. We are currently 9th on the ladder, and as you can see, we're tied on points with the 7th place Seagulls, 8th place Cowboys, and 10th place Panthers. We got a -10 for and against, as do the Cowboys. Manly at -9, Penrith at -14. We're definitely going to need to play this game against the West Tigers and just focus on getting the win. And as you can see, it was a very tight game up until a certain moment. A huge 1-0 victory against the West Tigers for the Dolphins. The $1 million man, Luke Keary, slotting it over in the end. We've played 3 games so far. All 3 have ended by us winning by a point. All 3 field goals were kicked by a half, but all 3 were kicked by a different half. Jeff Robson in the first episode. Then earlier today, we had Will Pearsall, and now Luke Keary, the $1 million man. Also, what was Riley Jacks doing with that kick? I don't know what was going on with the game at that point, but it really helped me out. We would indeed finish 8th. We would make our first final series, and we'd be taking on the 5th placed Bulldogs in the next game. If you want to see how that went, well, you're going to have to tune in next time, because in the next episode of the Dolphins Career Mode, we will be playing through the 2019 NRL Final Series as the Dolphins. Let's see how far we go. Fingers crossed it ends in a premiership.